Hello, thanks for listening to the Finance Leadership Podcast. It's your fortnightly focus on the latest information and news about the Finance Leadership Programme pathway to your CGMA designation. It's produced by AICPA and CIMA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. You can find out more at aicpa.org and cimaglobal.com. It's Kevin Gormley here again, and we're here today with one of our recent students, Shrey Shrekar, who has recently just finished the CGMA Finance Leadership Programme. So Shrey, could I ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit what you do?
Hi Kevin, hi everyone. My name is Shrey Shrekar, and I am currently working at Auxilian, which is an IT consulting and managed service provider, as a finance business partner.
You've just finished your final level of the Finance Leadership Programme, is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I sat the July sitting, and luckily I was successful, finished with the exams.
Great. So just pending your practical experience requirements now before you can get your membership.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm currently working on that. Hopefully we'll be able to submit that before the end of the year.
I'm sure you'll be glad when it's all over. The purpose of this conversation today is really to find out a little bit from a recent student who has used the Finance Leadership Programme pathway as their preferred route. So I know from speaking with you already that you were studying on the professional qualification pathway with objective tests and case studies, and then you moved to the FLP route. Could you tell us about your decision in doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I came to Ireland, I finished my master's, and I got an offer at Musgrave and SuperValue to work there as a finance graduate. Now, it was a requirement by the company that I be a CIMA professional, because everyone in the finance team was CIMA, right? So at that point, the traditional route was the professional certification route. So when I started that route, I was awarded 2 exemptions at the certificate level, which meant that I had to complete 11 objective tests and 3 case study exams to become a CIMA member while I was working a full-time job. So I was new at the job, a lot to learn there, manage expectations as well. So which meant a lot of planning when I was studying, how to study, make a timetable, when I'll have to give the tests. To be honest, I wasn't able to give my first test until 6 months had passed into the job. And I think I managed to successfully have my operational level done, and I was just about to start the management level when I switched to Finance Leadership Programme.
And what were your main drivers in making that switch? What was the persuading factor?
Until I was on the professional route, I was having quite a tough time to kind of manage my work and my exams as well. I always felt that I wasn't able to give the exams proper attention. When I heard of the FLP route, I was quite intrigued, because the first thing that struck me was there was no objective tests. The focus was shifted to understand the competencies of each level at your own pace, and then apply them to the practical world when you're preparing for the case study. That was one of the biggest reasons I decided to move. It wouldn't hinder my progress, and I could be relaxed to not memorize every definition and formula for the objective tests. I could access the materials anywhere, as it was all online. I didn't need to carry books with me, because I remember there were a couple of students who were working with me, and we used to kind of have books in our bags, and we used to kind of sit during the lunch or after work and just kind of go through a few topics. So that was great. And when Claire, who introduced me to the FLP, she showed me the format. I really liked the content that was available on the FLP. The content of the topics, it was not bookish. What I mean by that is the examples was just like an actual office conversation, that a finance manager or a CFO would have with you as a management accountant. And it gave me kind of ideas to how to present my answers on the case studies a bit better. One of the reasons also was from a money perspective, it kind of saved me money personally, because if I was unsuccessful in my case study, let's say if I was unsuccessful, I didn't have to pay again, as the Finance Leadership Programme awarded me 2 credits for each level, which means if I was unsuccessful and I failed, I could reset again free of charge. I'm guessing that's not the case for non-FLP students. So overall, it seemed like a really good opportunity, and I'm glad I switched. Mm-hmm.
A couple of key themes there are the digital nature of the product, so what that brings in terms of flexibility and portability, and I suppose you can dip in and out when you choose to study. Also, flexibility. I mean, the flexibility of the platform affords on working professionals is fantastic. The fact that you can get it anywhere when it suits you, and you could dip in maybe before the working day, at lunch, maybe an hour after. And I suppose what we hear again and again is the iterative nature of learning rather than 2 hours on a Wednesday night and a full day on a Saturday, which a lot of students would be used to in the past. So yeah, no, just it's a recurring couple of things, and I suppose it's comforting to hear that those are the main things that attract students to this pathway. In terms of the assessment, the topic level assessments, the business simulation assignments, what's your view on your experience on going through them, and what did you find really good about those or challenging about those?
I think from an overall perspective of understanding a level, whether it's be operational management or strategic, I thought they were very good, because when you're studying a topic on a competency level, at the end of each section or each topic, there used to be MCQ questions, numericals. And what I liked about that was it didn't give you an option to ignore those and move on and go to the next page. You were supposed to answer that and make sure that you understand the topic, and only then it would kind of ask you, okay, now you can move on to the next page, which I thought was essential, because, at point you're just kind of keen to browse through the content as quickly as possible without, even attempting, which I thought was very well. And if I got it wrong, I'd just revisit the topic and retry. So the business simulation assignment, obviously, it was able to combine all the topics together and give you a challenge to see if you've understood the topic on a whole. But the best part, again, Kevin, was that there was way less pressure and no negative consequences. If I didn't clear it, I could study for an hour on the weekend, or 2 hours, reset that topic and clear that business simulation assignment. And it would kind of give you a confidence. And so, like, the issue with the professional requirement when I was doing was when we're studying the competencies, we're really scared in terms of, like, if I got it wrong, I'll have to redo the whole book again. The next time I'm going to sit the exam. And it's just pressure that sometimes you would like to avoid. So the business simulation assignment gave a good alternative. So the good thing I like about it and how it kind of maintains that you're tracking your progress and you're making sure that you understand everything is that you need to complete all the business simulation assignments before you give your case study. So I think it's 2 weeks before your case study exams. If you haven't completed the business simulations and the topics, it tells you haven't completed your competency and you won't be able to sit the exam. So it's absolutely essential that you do those business simulations for your understanding and to attempt the case study better.
Yeah. So one of the main purposes of the business simulation assignments or BSAs is, even if you get something wrong or incorrect, or it's not in the view of the examiner factually or subjectively correct, the purpose is to instill confidence and to build a less formal knowledge base, so you don't have the jeopardy of exams in the same way you may have had in the past. But it's, even if you get things wrong, you still learn, and it's building on that learning on a less formal way, so it instills confidence and then leads to better outcomes. So that's the intention, and it's great to hear that works in that manner.
Yeah, and one of the things I liked about the business simulation as well was, if, like, I'm sure you've seen the portal as well. If you got a question wrong, right, it didn't just tell you you're wrong. It told you, we understand that why you selected that topic, but think about this question from this perspective. What do you think the examiner is trying to ask you? And it just kind of built up that sense of thinking, like you would apply later to your case studies, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, so it is, I suppose, that an appreciation of other viewpoints and why they're probably a better decision than the one you may have had initially. So no, it's great to hear. Great to hear. And obviously, one of the key elements of the entire program is the preparation for the case study. And to do that, we equip the student in the best possible way with the case study review course. Did you find that, in terms of its content and how it's delivered, effective for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They were quite effective. The prep part was quite good. Like, one of the things is it's a single portal. So I don't have to go to another site to access the pre-scene. It's all there. And the revision guides, they're all there as well. I quite liked how the preparation material that was given to you to attempt the case study. So there was a breakdown of the case study, which meant like literally going through the case study, understanding the business model, understanding the strategy, understanding the industry analysis, your SWOT analysis, financial ratio analysis. All of that was in a video and in a slide format as well. So you could take a printout, you could have those and, go through them many times during your preparation. And it really gave you a rough idea on what to expect from the case study itself. There were quite a few of webinars as well, where you could, ask live questions to the people who were conducting the webinars. There were mock tests. You'd attempt those mock tests, and then there were solutions that were acceptable by CIMA standards, which were of immense help because it shows you what kind of answers CIMA expects and what kind of detail they would like on an answer, so you can prepare yourself better. The revision guide that's there in the portal as well, it really helped me kind of creating a timetable to go through all of my core areas and make sure that there was nothing missing in my preparation, So I wouldn't say that that's all that I used. I did use external resources, but that wasn't because there was something missing from the portal, I would say. That's just because I wanted to be over-prepared. So yeah, no, definitely the material that was there, it was ample enough for anyone to have a really good chance in clearing the case study.
And in terms of the time frame for you to complete the remaining exams, like from when you started, I guess at management level, how long did it take you from when you started to when you completed your case study?
So I finished 2 case study exams in a year. It can certainly be done in less duration, but I actually, out of the 1 year, there were 4 settings. I attempted 3 settings. I wasn't successful on my first attempt for the management, but then the last 2 I was able to clear. So I did 3 settings. I was able to clear them in a year. It can certainly be done in less durations, but at the time when I switched on to FLP, I also changed my job. So I had to manage both the work and the study aspects as well. But I was quite surprised at my accelerated progress, so I was able to finish that in 1 year.
Yeah. So that the FLP pathway sped things up for you in completing much quicker than you experienced at operational level. I suppose the final question I would have, and I always ask anyone who's managed to jump the last hurdle in terms of exams, is there any advice you would have for students considering FLP or starting FLP or anything you think would be really good to remember when getting through the pathway?
I think when I was doing the professional route and I switched to FLP, one of the main reasons that I switched to FLP was because I talked to Claire at the moment. So definitely talking to a CIMA professional or someone in your peer group who has gone the FLP route. If you could take a look at the FLP portal itself, if you could see the content that there's there, it definitely can be something that you would like to do. Definitely, I would say look at what FLP is all about at the moment, look what it offers. And if you think that's the route that you want to go to, it's definitely a really good route to accelerate your progress. I was a fan of, online learning. I used to study at unusual times just for some peace and quiet. And that's why I kind of preferred the FLP route as well. So my advice would be see what kind of progression and see what kind of learning you're into. If you're always quite comfortable objective tests and you want to make sure that you have each competency level spot on 100% in your mind, then that's a great route. But then for me, it's the FLP route, yeah.
I guess it's an important thing to remember is with the introduction of FLP, we've given the students choice. So students can choose whatever route suits them best. There's no right or wrong on either, but it's just some people learn differently. Some people prefer different models. So it's important people realize that choice and be careful when choosing. Obviously, you can switch at any time if you need to. Thank you, Shrey. There's plenty more to explore about this topic, so our show notes will have all the links and resources that we've mentioned through this episode. To view them, just click on the episode's info icon in the podcast app on your smartphone or tablet, or open the episode in the computer's web browser. You'll find everything you need right there. For more information on FLP, go to enroll.cgma.org. Thanks again to our guest, Shrey Shekhar, and of course, thank you for listening. If you know a friend or colleague who would use this information, feel free to share it with your networks. You'll see the sharing button on the podcast app. Keep an ear out for new episodes as we help keep you on track towards your CGMA. From me, Kevin Gormley, till next time, goodbye.
This podcast is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the AICPA or AICPA.org. It is provided with the understanding that the AICPA and AICPA.org are not engaged in offering legal, accounting, or other professional service. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The AICPA and AICPA.org make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to, and assume no responsibility for, the content or application of the material contained herein, and especially disclaim all liability for any damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.